On the surface, Robert Rodriguez's 1998 film The Faculty is a straightforward pastiche. John Carpenter's The Thing meets The Breakfast Club. In a suburban Ohio high school, a parasitic alien life form systematically replaces the teachers and staff, turning them into emotionless drones intent on assimilating the student body. But to dismiss it as mere genre exercise is to miss its potent layered subtext. Released at the tail end of the 90s teen movie boom, it weaponizes the very tropes of that era, the cliques, the outcasts, the authoritarian adults, and injects them with a potent strain of existential horror. The monster isn't a slasher or a ghost, it's the terrifying erasure of self, the demand to fit in taken to its literal biological extreme. This isn't just a movie about aliens, it's a movie about the fear of becoming someone else, or worse, no one at all. The film's genius lies in its setting. Harrington High isn't just a backdrop, it's a microcosm of a conformist society already primed for invasion. The jocks, the nerds, the popular girls, each group enforces its own rigid code of behavior. The alien parasite doesn't introduce conformity, it merely perfects and universalizes a system already in place. When Coach Willis is infected, his aggressive win-at-all-costs mentality is merely amplified. The true horror dawns when characters realize the system they've always navigated is now actively hunting them. The school, a place of supposed learning and individuality, becomes a factory for sameness. Rodriguez visually reinforces this with sterile, fluorescent-lit hallways and a pervasive blue-gray color palette, creating an institutional feel that makes the transformation from school to hive mind feel chillingly seamless and inevitable. Let's analyze the core group of student survivors, a deconstructed brat pack for the paranoid 90s. Casey, the intellectual outcast, represents skeptical reason. Stokely, the goth, embodies a performed nonconformity that is ironically a rigid identity itself. Delilah, the popular cheerleader, masks deep insecurity. Zeke, the rebel, sells fake drugs to maintain an illusion of control. And new kid Mary Beth is the ultimate blank slate. Their initial conflicts mirror standard teen drama, but the alien threat forces a brutal authenticity. To survive, they must shed their social armor and confront their genuine, vulnerable selves. The film argues that true resistance to assimilation isn't about your style or clique, but about holding on to your core, flawed humanity. Your fears, your desires, your capacity for independent thought, even if it's messy. The teachers are particularly potent symbols. Each represents a different facet of authority and knowledge being corrupted. Mrs. Olson, the nurturing English teacher, becomes a venomous manipulator. Coach Willis's toxic masculinity is weaponized. Principal Drake's bureaucratic control becomes absolute. The tragedy isn't just their loss of life, but the perversion of their roles. Education turns into indoctrination. Guidance becomes predation. This reflects a deep-seated Gen X, early millennial anxiety about the institutions meant to guide them. The film asks, what if the adults in charge aren't just out of touch, but are actively, knowingly working to erase your future? The faculty becomes a literal facade, hiding a monstrous agenda behind a familiar face. The film's central metaphor extends brilliantly to media and substance use. Zeke's homemade stimulant scat is the literal chemical key to resisting the parasite, a clear allegory for the mind-altering, perception-shifting power of countercultural ideas or even illicit substances in the face of a homogenizing mainstream. Conversely, the aliens spread via water, the most essential common substance. Conformity is the water we swim in. Rebellion is a potent, dangerous drug. Furthermore, The characters' constant media consumption, listening to the radio, watching TV, is how they gauge the spread of the invasion beyond their school. The signal was being hijacked. This pre-social media anxiety about a monolithic, controlling media landscape feels remarkably prescient in an age of algorithmic bubbles and misinformation epidemics. Jon Stewart's role as science teacher Mr. Furlong is a masterstroke of meta-commentary. In 1998, Stewart was the host of The Jon Stewart Show, a voice of incisive, skeptical humor. His character is the first to intellectually grasp the invasion, piecing together the evidence. His subsequent infection, in turn, is one of the film's most devastating moments. The voice of reason is silenced and repurposed into a tool of the hive. This plays on a viewer's inherent trust in that persona, deepening the horror. It suggests that even the smartest, most critical minds can be subsumed. The scene where he calmly, logically explains why assimilation is preferable is far scarier than any monster jump scare. It's the horror of a good argument for a terrible outcome. The resolution is famously clever and thematically coherent. The survivors discover the alien queen is posing as Mary Beth, the shy, unassuming new girl. The ultimate outsider is the central threat. To defeat her, they don't use brute force, but a psychological gambit rooted in the film's core themes, individuality and desire. They inject her with Zeke's scat, the symbol of chaotic human consciousness. This overload of disparate, intense human emotion, love, hate, fear, passion, proves toxic to a being that thrives on uniformity and control. The monster is destroyed not by a hero, but by the overwhelming, messy totality of the human experience it sought to eliminate. Victory is achieved through embracing what makes them flawed individuals, not by becoming a unified, perfect team. Examining the faculty through a modern lens reveals its startling prescience. The fear of replacement of your identity, your culture, your very thoughts is a potent political and social anxiety today. The film visualizes this anxiety as a literal bodily takeover. In an era of social media influencers, viral trends, and intense peer pressure amplified by digital connectivity, the pressure to conform, to curate a perfect self, and to suppress dissent is immense. The faculty argues that the true horror isn't the other, but the loss of the self in the collective. The parasitic hive mind is an extreme metaphor for cancel culture, groupthink, and algorithmic echo chambers long before these terms existed. Compared to its clear inspiration, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Faculty updates the Cold War paranoia of communist infiltration for a new generation. The 50s fear was the neighbor. The 90s fear was the authority figure and the social system itself. It also subverts the teen slasher genre. There's no moralistic punishment for sex or drugs. Here, sex and drugs are potentially redemptive, humanizing forces. The final girl isn't a virginal survivor. She's a group of misfits who win by being authentically, messily human. Rodriguez blends body horror with teen drama to create a unique tension where the stakes of social rejection are literally life and death. In conclusion, The Faculty endures not because of its B-movie creature effects or starry young cast, but because of its intellectually robust and emotionally resonant core. It's a film about the terror and the necessity of being yourself in a world that demands compliance. It understands high school as both a specific hell and a universal metaphor for societal pressure. By framing assimilation as a contagious disease spread by the very pillars of society, it taps into a profound, enduring anxiety. over 2 decades later, its warning rings louder than ever. The greatest threat to our future may not be an invasion from the stars, but the slow, smiling surrender of our own minds and hearts to the comforting, deadly embrace of the hive. It's a cult classic because beneath the goo and the gore, it's one of the smartest and most urgent teen films ever made.